No, I'm excited to be here. Obviously, this is what you prepare for all year long, and what you play non-conference games for is to get ready for conference play, and again, it's going to be the toughest league. Has been toughest league every year since I've been here, and somehow each year I feel like it's the best it's ever been, and this year it's somehow better than it's been in the last 5 years. So why not start at Lawrence? And guys are excited. It'll be a tough challenge. They have a really, really good team. For my money, he's probably the best coach in the country, and so tall task. I think our guys are prepared for it.
You mentioned non-conference preparing you for conference play. Is it something that you know right now that non-conference did its job, or is it something that 2, 3, 4 games into Big 12 play?
No, I think I know. I think we've seen significant progress from what's today, December 29th, 30th. From November 30th to today, we're a much better team. We're a better team. We were a better team on November 30th than we were on October 30th. And that's all you can ask. And obviously, the league is going to present different challenges, some that we haven't seen. But I think because of the way we schedule, we've seen a lot of things that we are going to be able to draw back on as we go into the next 2.5 months or so.
You guys had some solid momentum going. You talked about how good the practices were before this break. Have they kind of continued after this bit of a break?
They have. We always worry about just this time of year. They need to go away. I'm never a fan of kids having to stay here for Christmas. I don't begrudge coaches who do that. It's just not my belief system. But it's also something you worry about because you don't expect they're going to keep doing what you've been doing. There's no treadmills at their houses, that they're punishing themselves over. But they came back with a good focus. And I think, obviously, you say what you want. Every game's a big game, but people do know that Kansas is one of those games, right? And so to have them maybe has helped that focus as we've gone this past week.
They were just, Caleb and Avery just talking about good versus great shots, and how you've emphasized that a lot the last month or so, more than maybe not more than usual, but it's been a big emphasis. How much of emphasis is it tomorrow when you go to Kansas, a place like that?
And to be honest, I don't take anything as personal criticism. I'm still growing as a coach, so yeah, it's fair to say it's been more than it has been, and partly I had to look up and realize that the shots we were taking weren't good enough to win in big games. Again, the turnover specifically, but also sometimes ill-advised shot at a bad time from the wrong person is not much different than a turnover. And a lot of times leads to the same result in transition baskets for the other team when we're a really good half-court defensive team. And so we've taken a much more disciplined approach, I would say, to being conscious of where we're getting shots from, who's taking them, and maybe not playing as fast all the time as we like to give ourselves the best chance. And again, in our league, not only are they really good teams, but mostly they're really good defensive teams. It's going to be that much more important. And then you add that being on the road and being one of the best venues in college basketball. 10-0 run doesn't take long. A couple bad shots, and now you're dealing with a lot of stuff that's hard to overcome. So we've been very conscious of shot selection, ball security, and at the same time continue to try to be really, really strong on the defensive end.
Mike, it's printed on your shirt, accountability. Caleb talked about kind of what that looks like on this team. Going into this Big 12 play, how are you holding people? How do you like to kind of keep that accountability up, even though somebody like Caleb says he's not a big fan of it, but he knows it's so important?
Yeah, at the end of the day, guys, it always starts with me as the leader of the program. What happens out there from a performance standpoint, lays at my feet, on my shoulders. And so while my job is to coach, it's more than that. It's making sure guys are doing the things that give us a chance to have success. And when that doesn't happen, I need to answer to it, and we got to figure out a way to fix it. And what they need to do is understand that part of the reason they came here is because they believed in what we do as a coaching staff and our program, and then allow themselves to be coached. And for the most part, they've done that. We got really good kids. And it's a reason that we've, each year, kind of gotten better over the course of the season. You have to have some humility as a young kid who's always been told he's good enough, to have somebody tell you what you're doing now isn't good enough. Not that it's a personal attack, but to take that criticism constructively. So the accountability starts with me having the discipline to hold them accountable to what they're supposed to do. If I don't do that, then I'm not doing my job.
Does that kind of go back to the Christmas break? You know there's not the treadmill at home, but you're able to keep them accountable there and make sure they're doing what they have to do when they're taking these almost 2-week breaks.
Yeah, 2-week break from playing, but we've been back here since the 26th, so they got 5 full days off, which is plenty. Not some coaches have them back on the night of the 25th, and maybe play on the 22nd or 23rd. Man, I looked up on Christmas Day and was watching DePaul and Creighton play a game, and obviously that's a league decision at that point. But our guys have handled the break pretty well. But part of it is I think they're pretty goal oriented right now. Not to go back to last year, but it was one of the things that was hard, right? There was no say, hey, really think about our team over this break because we got some things we want to accomplish later. That's part of the issue. But for the most part, they've come back with a mindset of we want to try to max out what we're capable of. And when you do that, you give yourself a chance to do some pretty cool things as a group when you get over yourself a little bit.
Is that kind of, I think you already answered the question right there, but to have that kind of fire in the belly, that motivation, that goal this year, is that easier to really get things rolling, I guess, as you get into this gauntlet?
It's not easier. No, it doesn't make it easier. It just helps. It helps focus you a little bit more. But the task is hard. It's a difficult challenge. We got 18 of the toughest games that anybody in the country could play. And I looked up. I don't really follow bracketology this time of year. I didn't even know they had it until somebody brought it up to me that, like I said, 9 teams projected to be in the tournament, and we're the one team that's not, which is fine. That we got 18 games to figure out where we are, but it also gives us a reminder of there's a lot of opportunity in front of us.
What's the scout on this Kansas team?
They're really good. Jalen Wilson's playing at a National Player of the Year level. Grady Dick's probably playing at a Freshman of the Year nationally level. They can really score. They're tremendously fast. They're probably one of the best 3 or 4 point guards in the country in DeJuan Harris. And then, like I said, they're sitting over there with a Hall of Fame coach who, again, for my money, if you tell me you got to take one guy, probably taking Coach Self as the best coach. So there's a lot of elements there to deal with. Don't have a ton of size in terms of usage. They got big guys. They just have played smaller. So that gives you some things to think about how, we've been playing with 2 bigs and how we're going to counter that. So they're really good. They're ranked as high as they are because they beat really good teams already. And I'm sure they carried a lot of momentum from the national championship last year.
From the outside looking in, what has Grady Dick done well to hit the ground running like he has?
He plays the game like he understands who he is. I can't go into the numbers right now off the top of my head, but I know over half of his shots are from the 3-point line, and at 6'8", understanding that that's who you are and how you make an impact on your team winning is hard for a lot of young kids because for some reason, I don't know why, being a shooter has become like a negative thing. It used to be being a 4-man or being a big man, and now it's like, I don't want to be the shooter. I'm like, you want to do the thing that's most important for the game, which is make shots. And to have a young kid like him embrace that role and be able to do it at a high level, really helps you understand the coaches have done a good job helping them understand how he helps them win, but he's bought into that there are other guys on this team that do other things well. Jalen Wilson's a dynamic driver, and so is DeJuan Harris. KJ Adams is a great athlete on the interior. And so just him understanding who he is and playing to his strengths is probably the most impressive.
Was Bryce here today?
Yes. He just kind of tweaked his ankle, and so we pulled him, but nothing major. And I expect him to be fine for the morning.
I saw there was a photo of you out recruiting this weekend, or earlier this week. Bill Self was there next to you. Obviously, you guys run into each other a lot on the recruiting trail, but is that different when you're getting ready to play him, in a couple days or whatever?
mean, it happens enough that not really at this point. I wish he would stay out of Oklahoma until he retires. But again, I have a healthy level of respect for him as a coach, as a person. He's been tremendous. All the coaches really in the league have really been good to me in terms of, when we're not competing, helping me grow as a coach. And I study these guys. They're my peers, but these guys have been really successful, and so I would probably be pretty, naive to not think I could learn a lot from them. So I try to pick his brain as often as I can when I'm around him. We don't share a whole lot of, recruiting notes, but I think he's doing pretty good up there at it.
How did you come up with the shooting drills that are on the wall in the practice gym?
Yeah, I've told you guys this. I don't do a whole lot of things well, but I think one thing I do well is I try to identify talented people and then try to allow them to be really good at what they do. So I got a tremendous staff. In fact, the reason I feel so good about our preparation is because Terrence Rencher, who's got the lead on the scout, has probably spent 15 hours a day in the last week studying every detail of this team that you can. And so I think Coach Kason and Coach Page came up with most of them. We obviously talked about shooting being something that was important for us over the course of the offseason. And so that was something that they implemented to kind of bring some relatability, but also some respect to the guys who've come here that have done that really, really well. To get the details of them, you probably have to ask Coach Kason, but I think they just kind of went through the film and came up with some drills and then gave them names to some great shooters in the program.
Has it been beneficial?
I think so. Kind of gives you something visual, right? And obviously the guys on our team know the guys on the wall and maybe want to have their name on this drill, one day. And, maybe it gives them something to shoot for, but also, the competitive aspect, right? You want to have your name up on that board as one of our best in one of those drills because that signifies, A, that you work really hard at it, and it puts you in some pretty good company.
What would the Mike Boynton drill be?
Drive in the lane, draw a defender, and find the open guy. And if nobody came, dribble it out of there. I hope they didn't call it double dribble. I tell guys all the time, I guess if you look up my stats, because people have told me by my senior year I was a decent shooter, but I was never really that great of a basketball player. I was a tough guy who loved winning, loved to compete. I enjoyed leading. I think it's what's helped me as a coach because I never was concerned with confrontation. And I'm not an in-your-face guy, but I don't run from it either. And so that gave me ability to connect with people on different levels and get them on board with what the team needs to be done. But as a player, I was really always a role guy. And that's why I value guys who understand who they are and why they can help their team win.